Welcome to the 1 Minute Apologist. We interview the world's leading apologists to provide credible answers to curious questions.
Is the Trinity defensible philosophically?
I would argue that the Trinity is defensible philosophically. So let's start by defining quickly what is the doctrine of the Trinity so we know what we're talking about. So the doctrine of the Trinity basically maintains that although there's one divine being, we would affirm the truth of monotheism, but we would maintain that God is complex in his unity. So there's one divine being, three divine persons. The law of non-contradiction would say that something can't be A and non-A at the same time in the same sense, whereas we're saying as Trinitarians that God is one in one sense as to being and three in another sense as to person. Moreover, I would argue that a monadic concept of God, such as Islam would espouse, where we have the doctrine of Tawheed or the absolute oneness of Allah, I think has some philosophical difficulties. For example, if love is an essential quality of God and it's an eternal attribute, is of course one of the 99 beautiful names of Allah, then who was God directing this love to before creation? Is he dependent upon his creation? That would violate Tawheed. If sometimes people will respond and say, well, surely that backfires in the Trinitarian because is mercy not an inherent quality? Whereas I would argue that mercy is actually the expression of love, not the essential quality. Another objection is, well, why not say that, how can God be a necessary being if he's comprised of three persons? Why three persons and not four persons or an infinite number of persons? Surely that would accentuate God's quality of love infinitely, and so that should be preferred over just three persons. Whereas I would argue, as Richard Swinburne has argued in his book Is Jesus God, that for perfect goodness to exist, you must not only have love, and of course selfish love is superseded by selfless love, and so selfless love is obviously a greater quality than selfish love. So that means you have to have at least two divine persons, I would argue. Moreover, for perfect goodness, you must also have you can also introduce another quality of goodness, which is to say that God, that you not only have love directed to another, but you have cooperation in further spreading that love to another, which is another quality of goodness. But introducing a fourth divine person introduces no further quality of goodness. And so basically this argument is based upon the moral intuition that if God has, if there's a good quality, then God must possess it. If there's good action, God must do it. And if there's a new quality of goodness, then God must do that. But introducing a fourth person, of course, introduces no fundamental new quality of goodness. And so I argue that three is the best number for the personhood of God.
For maximizing God's greatness.
Indeed.